So I'm going to add a little weekly series, not exactly of videos, but of music. And so here on the screen you'll see my Spotify. It's my node in a network, Spotify. And I made a playlist here for the week of 10/28. And I want to just put up like 5 or 6 songs per week that I've been listening to that are sort of interest to me. And since they're of interest to me, they may be of interest to you. And so I think I should explain some of my musical background and how I decide what to listen to and so forth. Let's see where to begin. I guess generally you could say I listen to alt rock, but I'm not exactly boxed into that. I kind of drift wherever there's something interesting. So it tends to be alternative rock, but not exclusively. So what are the criteria that I'm using to select songs? Like, what do I find to be good music? There are several things I use to judge music. And if it's popular music or modern music, I might say. Lyrics are one of the things I use to judge it. The general beat and sound of it. These are kind of personalistic things. Again, if our tastes match, then you might find something you like. And if you look at the list a few times and sample it, and you see like there's just nothing, I'm way out of your soundscape, then of course this is not going to be a thing for you. But if you see something you like or hear something you like a couple of times in the list, this might be a new source of music for you. And I'm always looking for new music, like I said, and sometimes it's hard to find. I tend to be the one person in my group of friends that experiments with music and listens to new stuff all the time in order to find that next good song. And my friends kind of rely on me to feed them new music. Me and Spotify. Of course, Spotify is taking over with their algorithms, but sometimes you need a human being to deliver some goods as well. So on this list in particular, I have Be Me, Play Minecraft by Akira the Don. I thought that was really interesting. It wasn't to me so much a song as it was like a life experience, and somewhat relatable for me. I definitely was in that loner category for a while, and I could remember doing something like that when I was that age. Then I have House of the Rising Sun featuring Tuka. This is an alt-J version of this. It's not exactly the House of the Rising Sun that you know, but it does do a couple of lines from that song. But if you want to talk about rescuing your father from the belly of the whale, maybe this guy needs to hear that lesson. And this song is really emotionally charged and kind of sad. I can't quite make out what the end lyrics are. The end bit is a voice recording from his father, I guess. And I'll have to look it up. But so far I've listened to it a couple of times, and so it's catching my interest. The next one is Bottom of the River, and that to me, I want to describe it as folksy and archetypal. Very archetypal. I like the rhythm. I like the sound. Next is Talking to Myself by Watsky. Now, I don't know too much about Watsky, and this is, I guess you'd put it in hip-hop or rap genre. He's known for doing slam poetry, and so this is, I guess, if you can do slam poetry, you can put it to music. And this song kind of reminded me again of Maps of Meaning, Jordan Peterson trying to talk about meaning and purpose in life and finding a destination, a goal to work towards. And because you can't pick where you start, and this is what he tries to explain in the lyrics, but you can pick your end and try to strive towards that. And there's certain accidental qualities of life and the world and nature that he references, and I think it's kind of interesting if you start to analyze it. And then Till I Die by A Love Like Pie. This is interesting. It caught my ear because it got me it got into my head. And near the end, I thought I heard some Hebrew, like Adonai, Adonai. And I looked up the lyrics, and there's a few more Hebrew words there. I don't know what they are, but I did recognize Adonai. So there's a lot to that song. It's kind of, it comes off as simplistic, I would say, but if you dig into the lyrics, it's actually quite sophisticated. So that's my list, and I thought I would tell you just a little bit about my background, how I came, what kind of stuff I listened to, and how I came to listen to it. Not just that I listened to alternative rock in a general sense, but I guess I started listening to music when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I listened to exclusively classical music, and I was just one of those weird kids that just really got into classical. And then when I was 13, my father bought me a piano, and so I thought it would be a good idea to learn how to play it. I poured my heart and soul into it. He sat me down one time and said, when you first got it, like this could be your best friend. And at times in your life, it may be your only friend, depending on how things go. And so I really treated the piano as my friend. And the music was like forming a relationship with someone. Playing the music, hearing the music, being part of the music. Like McGilchrist said, it's very much like relating to a human being. And so I didn't quite understand what my father meant, I was 13. But as I got older and I found myself at the piano more and more, I could feel that more than think it. So in that, by the end of the year, I got really good, and I was applying at the Manhattan School of Music because my piano teacher said I needed something much more sophisticated, and I was talented enough to go do that. And it was really an experience for an introverted kid like myself to go into the city and try to perform in front of people. And I did everything fine. I actually, for an introverted person, as soon as I sat down at the piano, that all left me, and I could play. I like to play in front of people, although up until the moment of sitting down and playing the first note, I was nervous and afraid. But once I got into the music, that all left. It's like my ego left me, and then it was just the music. It was also really weird. I was like the only white person in the auditions, just a sea of Asians. Owen Benjamin might find that funny. And this is maybe one of the reasons why I like Owen Benjamin too, because I relate to his piano playing and his music. I like that aspect of his channel. And so one of the crazy things about that process was they had you audition. One of the parts of the audition was vocal. And again, I was severely introverted. I would say people might have suspected I was somewhere on the autism spectrum. I would look down instead of look people in the face. I wouldn't say hi or hello. I didn't understand what saying hi and hello to people was. Well, I didn't understand why people did certain things. And because I didn't understand it, I didn't do it. I wanted to think about it first and understand it before I did any of it. So much of the socialization is something I couldn't understand, and so I didn't really do a lot of it. I spent my time at the piano. And so anyway, in that, I trying to do the vocal part, I just wanted to throw myself out the window. But of course, that wasn't a real possibility, and the woman wouldn't let me leave until I, sang for her, and that was a terrible experience. But I did it, and I got through it. And ultimately, I decided not to go to the Manhattan School of Music, and I just decided to go more a traditional route. I studied with someone from the Yale School of Music, and eventually I got into bodybuilding later on in high school, and my arms and wrists got way too tight to be comfortable at the piano, so I kind of gave it up for a few years, and then picked it back up later on in college. And it was also in high school that I sort of broadened my musical taste and experience, and I started listening to more popular music and like DMX and Eminem, and so that got me out of the classical mold and that box of classical music. So the songs that I'm going to be picking each week, that to me they're meaningful. I'm judging them by their general sound, the lyrics, and if they're kind of making me tune into something I'm thinking about. They're circumambulating something I'm thinking about during the week, and they're almost always going to be meaningful. And sometimes you just need something that is just fun, something that's just catchy. That's also going to show up. So I think that's all I have to say about this new and kind of feature of my channel. There's going to be 2 links, I think. Maybe I'll just do one link. I'll do 1 link at first, and then maybe eventually I'll broaden this out to 2 links. I was thinking about doing like a 30-second commentary after each song and giving like a 30-minute audio track on Podbean. But I think for now, as this just starts out, I will just do a shareable Spotify list. And that might be really easy for people to just sample, because they can just skip to the next song whenever they're bored or if they're not interested, and can sample things really quickly. Although I will give you a warning that one of the criteria I generally use to judge a song is if it shows transformation and change. And so a song may be something you're not into for the first, let's say, whole half of it, or maybe the first 3/4 of it, and then all of a sudden there's a transformation halfway through or near the end, which makes you appreciate the entire thing. I really love music like that, and so that's one of the things I'm listening to. So when I do sample like 100 songs in a week, I'm listening almost always to the very end to see if there's any kind of transformation that makes the song more to my taste. And so some of my friends hate that, because they listen to a song and within 2 or 3 seconds you can generally tell if you're going to like the song or not. I do agree with that, but there's so many songs that I found where if I judged them by the first, let's say, 5 seconds of the song, by the general sound, I would not have known where it was going and how meaningful it ended up being. So I think I'm going to be posting these links because it's just a link with my weekly Mo Meaning Mondays. So in the Mo Meaning Mondays description will be the link to my Spotify list, and I'll probably add it to my Twitter as well. That's at GoldJBP on Twitter. And I think that's it. So again, if you like this sort of thing, like this video and hit subscribe.